So Tony Stark currently isn't in his right state of mind, as he has already taken over San Francisco with plans to take over the world and in his own twisted way make it better by using his new IndoSim technology and Extremis app. And he has even taken out some heroes such as Daredevil along the way. Now this is the hero informer and let's get into it. So as I have said and shown before, Tony has been less of an ideal hero. While maybe not a villain so far, he definitely isn't the superhero he once was. And later on in his video, he definitely does dip in the supervillain territory with planning to commit genocide. But for right now, we see him in a secret facility having a meeting with a US general and his team of experts. And Tony here is doing something. Selling mass weapons of destruction, and the cost $200 billion. But hilariously, Tony also singles out one of the general's team members, a guy named Larry, basically saying, well, this guy's an idiot and not competent, and he lied to get here, singling him out specifically. But as they go to read over the papers, the general then says, so this is a weapon of war. But Tony corrects him, saying, no, this is not a weapon of war. There is no war if you hold this. This is a weapon of pure annihilation. But still, this is confusing the general, as he thought Tony was out of the weapons manufacturing business. But Tony says he is. He isn't going to be manufacturing these weapons, and he would advise him not to either. He's just selling the plans to. As we pan out and see there was 3 folders. One written in English that the general has now, the other written in Russian, and other in Chinese. So whatever reason, Tony is selling plans to weapons to major global powerhouses on Earth, and insinuating that he wants to start a war. A big one. As we jump over, we see another Tony Stark, and one in a more classic Iron Man suit, talking to Pepper Potts and observing the situation that have just occurred, as $200 billion has just been deposited into the Stark Industries bank account. And of course, it's untraceable and hidden, meaning it's probably a national government. But as this other Iron Man goes on to say, the issue isn't where it came from, it's what Tony intends to do with it, especially if he plans to mold the world into the image he wants. Because Tony is a lot of things, especially being a resilient genius. He did build a suit in a cave with a bunch of scraps after all. Now imagine what that same type of genius can do with an extra $200 billion. And we start to see just that, starting to see what Tony does with his new billions, as he is pretty busy making moves, with him being in another meeting, this time for some type of company, a giant media company. And no, this time Stark isn't doing it alone, he brought a kid with him, a kid in the form of the teen Abomination. But the other people of the board don't see it this way, they see it as intimidation. And as it continues, suddenly everybody's phone in the room starts to go off, starts to buzz. And of course, with Tony knowing what's going on, he tells nobody to turn their phone on and check it, as Tony starts to get serious, with him going on to say, before I walked in here, I leaked my takeover bid online to every major news service. Those messages are your backers, business partners, investors, all with one message, sell. But still, this is confusing to the main guy on the board, a guy named Gerald, as he goes on to ask Tony why. Why are you even doing this? You've never even wanted a media empire before. But as Tony goes on to say, that's because he never needed to look good. Before, he was pretty much universally loved, and that's just a side effect when you save the world a bunch of times. But now, things have changed. He has plans and change is coming. So he wants the hearts and minds of the loyal, brainwashed customers who consume the media. He wants all of their networks, their papers, their online video service, social media platforms, politicians, all of it. He wants to buy everything. But of course, Geralt isn't just going to sit by and watch Tony walk in here and take everything from him. He not only calls him arrogant, but also causes security, escalating the situation even further. A situation that has Iron Man himself and a gamma irradiated Hulk beast too. As when security gets there, guns drawn, everybody starts to panic and a little fight breaks out, with the security guards starting to shoot at the teen Abomination, doing nothing but angering him and elevating the situation even more, as all of the guards start to fire and things start to get hectic. And so with this, Tony calls in his suit, his IndoSim armor, and effectively stopping the battle altogether. But before anything else can happen, or Geralt could fall into the intimidation and agree to sign the company away basically, another person enters the fold. A woman. And this woman is none other than Pepper Potts, with them strutting in, saying they have already accepted another offer. How she has already bought 54% of this company, making her the major shareholder, and if Tony wants to buy the company, he has to go through her now. And Pepper, knowing Tony isn't going to do anything to her, she puts her foot down and tells Tony to leave the building. Leave her building. And with that, Tony actually agrees, shuffling the teen Abomination off as he growls at Pepper. But Tony corrects him, saying that's no way to talk to your stepmother, which obviously confuses Pepper, but Tony simply says not here and we will talk later. As we see where that later is at, with them all going to the company Pepper Potts now runs. That used to be a Stark company but is now fully in her name. But while they're there, Pepper essentially tells Tony, look, we're not going to talk while you're still fused to a symbiote. And with Tony not really paying any mind to this, saying it's fine, Pepper says no, it's not fine. I'm scared of you, Tony. Which of course, with Pepper Potts having a soft spot in his heart, he doesn't even say a word as he complies, shedding the armor and coming with her, as they go down to an elevator. And as they continue down the building, Pepper then finally questions why earlier Tony called her a stepmother. Because as Tony goes on to further say, Jamie here, the teen Abomination, is the son of your ex, Happy Hogan. And with Pepper taking this information, she turns to the teen Abomination, telling him that I want you to know that this has nothing to do with you and I am sorry. As the ceiling opens up and she rockets out of there using some kind of high-tech rocket heels. And as she is out of there, the elevator doors itself start to open. And as they open, the other Tony Stark rushes in, gunning straight for the Abomination, tackling him to the floor, and eventually getting the upper hand, subduing and knocking him out. But not before the teen Abomination is able to rip off his mask. Now leaving Iron Man and Tony Stark respectively face to face, Tony yells out, "Who are you?" as the Iron Man suit lunges for Tony, and as he gets his hands around his throat, it simply says, "I'm you." As we take a peek inside of the suit and see that it is empty. It doesn't seem to have any type of host or pilot, but it is the suit itself, an AI, an artificial intelligence version of Tony. And so with these two Tony Starks coming face to face, one physical and biological, the other being an artificial intelligence, we see the AI version tell Tony that he is so disappointed in him. But of course, Tony brushes this absurd situation off, saying, well, you're not the first artificial intelligence I've disappointed, and I doubt you'll be the last. But he in his analytical mind then goes to try to make sense of this entire situation. As he goes on to say, quote, "Let me guess. After losing my mind to the Black Llama, I put a contingency in place. You're me from 8 years ago. A full backup of my mind, in case anything ever went wrong again." As the AI Tony does nothing but agree, with artificial Tony going on to say that not only after these events and Tony creating the AI Tony, he wiped his own mind, kept the knowledge a secret from him and only told close friends and Pepper about this contingency and plan. And with this, the artificial Tony then gets serious. Enough of the yapping and blabbering, real Tony then goes on to ask, what happens now? Because the AI Tony has plans and was programmed to go into the real Tony's head and try to undo whatever has been done to him and try to finally get him back. But if he is unable to, then he is going to do what he also planned. He is going to replace him, whether that means imprisoning or even killing the real Tony Stark so this AI version can take over and become the new Iron Man in the Marvel Universe. It isn't explicitly clear to what extent he would be replacing him in, but nonetheless, this is gearing up to be a giant showdown between two genius level characters. But for now, that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, or even subscribe if you're new and you enjoy this type of content. Make sure to leave any comments down below. This was the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.